Human rights lawyer Femi Falana, SAN, has called on the judiciary to urgently rule on the legality of the emergency rule recently lifted in Rivers State. He warned that failure to do so would set a dangerous precedent and risk the abuse of Section 305 of the Constitution, which empowers the president to declare a state of emergency. President Bola Tinubu had on September 17, 2025, announced the end of emergency rule in Rivers State, restoring Governor Simlaye Fubara and other elected officials. Tinubu acknowledged the controversy generated by his proclamation, noting that over 40 suits challenging the declaration were already pending across different courts. Falana argued that the Rivers cases involve live constitutional issues beyond the governor's reinstatement, including the president's powers to suspend state officials, appoint administrators, and dissolve executive bodies. He urged the courts to interpret key constitutional sections without delay, stressing that inaction will leave Nigerian democracy vulnerable to political manipulation. Chizi, what is your take on this matter?
I have always supported what the court will rule. You know, like I said, even if it's good also to be academic, it gives us. We don't need to learn more, you know, from whatever that is there, isn't it?
Yes.
But that means that the Supreme Court also will have to take their time to study it so that they don't give a judgment that they will say that judgment cannot be set as precedent. You know, there was a judgment that the Supreme Court gave in 2007. You know, that was the judgment involving Right Honorable Rotimi Amechi, the former governor. And today you can't quote that judgment. So the Supreme Court also have to take their time, like to take all of those, you know, issues, you know,
into cognizance
and bring us, because it's actually going to be, because if there's a lacuna in law that has not spelled out whether a sitting governor should be suspended or not, so that whether it's unfair or it's not fair, so their judgment may have to just give an interpretation to that. And as soon as it gives an interpretation to that, we may not have to be arguing whether the president has a right or not and what should be. So what that judgment will tell us is to begin to interpret certain sections of those laws. What is it that must happen before this happens? And if it does happen, what are the extent to which it will now? Because if not, it will allow us to begin to interpret what they call the suspensions of government, you know, and all of that. So it is no longer enough. The Supreme Court is there, but to say that they should quickly, you know, begin to, it's just that, like I said, Femi Falana is somebody I respect, not because I respect him for anything, but because I used to hear about him. It's somebody who is older than me, not for anything, because I've not seen him. He has not seen issues that he brought to bear. He has not even won cases. How many cases has he won? But I'm talking about, but what I'm going to say here is that he should allow the court. For now, Rivers State, we are trying to embrace peace, whether cosmetic or not. Let us begin to see that, other than reminding us of how did their mother die, let's go back to this place. Allow the court to do their listen and take their time to do it. There are cases even in the US that were ruled just like 3, 4, 5 years, even 10 years after. You understand? If you notice a case of graft that, you know, that was ruled in China very recently, you know, where someone was jailed for $38 billion, you know, million.
The person was jailed or sentenced to death.
Sentenced to death. You know, that case, when did it start? 7 years ago, isn't it? So, but today, it's just to teach people something. So, let's not be in a hurry. As much as I want because of course, people will say justice delayed is justice denied. It's been denied already. If it was going to help to reinstate the governor or otherwise, it's been denied. So, it's just going forward so that we can learn from it. And if they're going to do it, they should now apply wisdom and make sure they're going to define it in such a way that Nigerians will understand that, well, what you have done before was right, or what you have done is wrong. Let's not do it this way again.
Right. Very well. Nze, what's your take on this story?
You know, government is a continuum. And it is on that premise that I'm supporting the Femi Falana's plea for the judiciary to issue a judgment on this. Because this is the first time such thing is happening. We've not seen it before. We've seen state of emergency.
Obasanjo has declared state of emergency.
No, hold on. I said we have seen declaration of state of emergencies.
Obasanjo declared state of emergency and suspended the governor during his time.
Of course.
That was it Almesia or Darie?
This is not the first time.
No, but when the governor was suspended Was he taken out of office?
Yes.
And the legislature too suspended?
The executive arm was suspended.
Okay, only the executive arm.
Yes.
Now, this is the first time we are seeing this kind. That the governor was suspended, the executive arm was suspended, the legislature was suspended, which is the two elective offices in a state. Judiciary is not elective, it is appointive office. Now, Mr. President, at the helm of affair, you know, as a commander-in-chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, had done this, suspending the executive. In fact, he suspended democracy.
Was there democracy in Rivers State?
No, I mean that for the fact that we can call this the legislators, this one the governor and the whatever. And this is what ensures democracy. And he suspended both. So he suspended democracy for the first time in a state that we are seeing in Federal Republic of Nigeria. And, you know, a lot of, just as the president says that over 40 cases have been filed in different courts challenging or seeking, if I may use the word, I think that should be the better word to use, seeking a better interpretation to this. Because we can't actually, as at that time, we shouted, we talked, we cried foul, and we saw that the Mr. President was adamant. Could it be there was something he knew that we'd never know? Could it be there was something the lawyers had told him that we are not privy to? Now, he was adamant until 6 months elapsed, and he saw that the parties have come together to say, yes, we've made peace, we can now work together. And he...
Did it work or did it not work?
You mean the declaration of emergency?
Did it work or did
well,
it not
I know
work?
There are several ways to kill a rat. There are several ways to mend fences.
Political resolution failed, legal solution failed, dialogue failed.
Then emergency rule.
Everything that would have made sense failed. And then emergency rule came. And everybody had to, you know, go back to status quo by force.
You know,
now the third parties were no longer involved. They had to sit themselves down and decide that we can no longer be out of governance. So let us find a way to make sense. So the question would be that even though it was an unconventional or a very controversial decision, did it or did it not work?
No, these things are not just coming from blues. Remember that we are societal in nature. And all these things have been happening in different ways. There are times that two persons will be fighting and you are trying to separate and they are not agreeing. As at those times we were in the village, you just go to the bush, collect cane. As you flock, they will separate themselves. Remember, initially you have been struggling to separate them. They are even giving you some blows.
It worked.
So it worked in a sense. But I know that at the time the governor saw himself bereft of power. The assembly saw themselves bereft of power. Everybody had now to fold hands.
So which means it worked?
It worked,
all right.
Yeah, though not the we are still expecting the court to give us interpretation on that.
Chizi, go ahead.
You know, is they said something that we are actually saying, no, that's not the first time. This is actually the first time the kind of it that is happened. This is the first time that we are having two assembly operating in the state. The first time. You know, this is the first time before the declaration of the emergency. This is the first time where a governor cannot submit a budget to an assembly and an assembly does not recognize the governor. This is the first time it happened. And so the court also pronounced that we didn't have government. The court told us that we didn't have government. So what the president pronounced was as a result of the court's judgment. We didn't have government. So please go and restate the government. And the worst of our own kind was that even the local government we didn't have. So in the case where Obasanjo ruled, they had assembly. That didn't, probably what the assembly would have done was to either impeach the governor or all of that. The issues were far above the assembly. And so you have to remove the persons at which death the decision stops. And they remove this. So a governor has been suspended before, but there had not been any case where they didn't have a lacuna was created at the local government, and then there was a void in the state where 2-3 assemblies were going to pass laws. That was anarchy. And the court did pronounce that.
And they were declaring each other's seats vacant. This one will write to INEC to come and conduct election. This one will write to INEC to come and conduct election.
People say, were there war? I said, do you know what they call political war? When that kind of thing, it has the capacity of the... See, I was just in the local government the other day. We don't want to resonate all of that because we want peace. I was in the local government the other day. And I went to see the extent, I haven't seen it before, the extent of the damage of that bomb that happened in the local government is going to cost that local government nothing less than the 200 million to fix. I'm being frank because the integrity of even that building has been compromised. Of course, when there's a bomb, certain foundations shakes. The integrity of that building is compromised. In fact, yesterday I was telling I got what's it called? The legislators took me around and I told them, it's even on Facebook. I told them there, guys, if you want to dwell on bringing back this thing, you have to just do a makeshift and still. If you have to dwell on bringing back this thing, that means that you are not going to do anything for us. And we can't waste time on the political issues that people have and not have dividends that we all want. I told them there yesterday, it was on Facebook. Because if you look at that, so the question would be, what would have cost war? What would the president have done? And so he declared a state to say, okay, come back and let us see. When he saw that the assembly now and this thing are coming back together, of course he has to call. And of course that's after the 6 months has elapsed. Because where he would have said, okay, was it just when he called, it would have been at the point they just met, and then the next day he calls, he stops the declaration. It looks like it's political. He waited till 6 months, meaning that 6 months is renewable. Maybe you don't know, it's renewable. It's a renewable 6 months. So what we are saying is that he didn't renew it. Now again, if you also look at the tips of what is happening right now, since the governor is back, since he came back, and then the legislators, I'm beginning to see some crack. And I'm warning already. I'm beginning to see some crack. It looks like those peace accords were, let me accept to come back, both from the assembly and from the governor. Because I'm not seeing that synergy. If these people does not want to work for us, for Rivers State, they should resign. I'm not talking about the governor, I'm talking about both the governor and the assembly. Because I'm beginning to see crack. I'm not seeing, the assembly came and immediately announced that they please submit that budget. You know what I mean? See, let me even say this. I'm sorry if I have to say this here. But let me even say this. Now, when you say this has been the issue, the budget, right? Mm-hmm. When you say they submit the budget, do you know what the assembly is saying? The assembly is saying, even we do not recognize the budget of a bus. So they are for you. Get what I'm saying?
Bring the budget that you want to work with.
Not the one the bus
wants to work with. So even if that amount of money has been released, work out the way you want to spend the money. And allocate the money.
Submit your nominees of these things. What can be more reconciling than that? Bring those things. That means that you can, including the commission if you want it, you can bring them to the assembly.
This local government service commission.
All of these commissions.
You can present them again.
Present them again to this place. Bring all of them so that we will have a face that we appointed. That's what those people are saying. So those people are saying, okay, let's work together. And you know what? Can I shock you? I have not also heard that since the resumption of the governor, do you know where the governor is supposed to address Rivers State? It's in the assembly. At this resumption. That's where the governor is supposed to address Rivers State. The governor and the speaker, and all the governor was supposed to write the speaker and say, I'm coming. Because they have reconciled. You go there, we'll talk, and all of us will see speaker there, and that means that the governor had recognized that speaker, and all of us will see the speaker go to wait for the governor and welcome him into the chambers. Those are the kind of things we should be seeing. Yet, all we have seen now is everybody has gone back to their place, staying. Haba. This is not what we asked for. This is not the peace we are asking for. Don't forget. That's why I say so that we don't spoil what we have. You know, my people say, when you finish farming, Loretta, I keep accusing you haven't gone to farm before. You know, when you farm, when you do all of those cutting, they said just do it in such a way that the monkeys will not come and begin to jump on it again. Let me tell you, one thing about reconciliation, about having conflict, is that it has a way of making you stronger.
Yeah.
The second thing about conflict resolution is that it has a way of destroying you finally. Because if you do any other thing, everybody's a suspect now. So it's no longer like, oh, this guy will repent. No. It's a matter of everybody take extreme action and let what will happen. Let them not allow the president laugh at us and say, you people could do hold this thing. Let them not even give him the right to say, okay, let me now bring another Cross River State man, because we had 2 Cross River State governors, coming to River State. We had 2 research chairmen from Cross Rivers, one in Cross River, one in River State. It is us that is causing it. So I have not seen that. The governor went on the Thanksgiving. Of course, everybody will have a right to go for Thanksgiving. And I saw the people in Corona local government chairman there, and I didn't see other local government chairman. You know they stopped me now. I asked these people, why didn't you go for your governor's Thanksgiving? Answer, we didn't know.
The local government chairman said they didn't know.
They didn't know.
They were not invited.
Yes, you see, let me tell you something. A local government chairman, like the governor, does not attend the president's function, hearing it on NTA. They are always invited. Get what I'm saying? When people say, oh, we didn't see them there. Did you ask them? I went there. Why didn't I see? Governor, in fact, I asked the local government chairman of Ikure local government why he didn't go to welcome him at the airport when he was coming from the first day. And he said, who should be there to welcome him? The governor, if not him. But he has to interact with them. And say, sir, the governor is coming. That's the person they should call.
I say because the airport is under Ikore local government.
So that's the person. He said, I knew that he came just like you saw it on television. So we need to. So that time I forgave them maybe because even the people here, you remember that the first day people just mobilized themselves. Those who want to find the embarrass of problem, who just wanted everything, mobilized themselves and went to the first day, to welcome him at the airport. I mean at the government house, and then he didn't come that day. The next day he came. You remember the former minister, the minister of FCT did say that he spoke with him and he told him he was even defending him. Must he resume that day? He's a governor. He has other function that he would have also had done, and so he came the next day. So the protocol, because then he was not a governor. That's why he didn't need to be inaugurated or sworn in again, because he needed a governor. So coming back as governor now, all the protocol must be observed as governor. You see, the way I will come to this studio is not the way a governor will come to this studio. If a governor is coming to this studio, there will be people who he has sent. They will tell you. In fact, if a governor is coming to this studio, you'll be shocked that your chairman will be the one welcoming a governor to this studio, because it's protocol. But if a governor walks in like cheesy, who is ordinary, who will welcome me? In fact, even if they that saw me at the gate didn't welcome me. So who will welcome me? So you see that most of these things we need to tie our knots so that we don't have those loose ends, and all of these people who fame do this, who will always remind us of our wounds, will not be reminding us. Those whose POS have been paused will not come and upgrade it again. Let us do something as brothers. And I think that if you know Wike, why would I even defend Wike? Defend Wike, what am I getting from Wike? But if you know Wike very well, you will know that Wike he has shown openly in this country that Wike is one person that quarrels with you yesterday, and today you are his best of friend and has you over sensitive issues. If you know, Wike said, and I know, my people told me, Wike said, even in the local government, that they're going to call him, I'm coming to your house. I said, no, you're governor, please. You can't come to my house. Let me come to your house. And then he drove to his house. And so, all of this, let us not start something. I think that the team for SIM and the team for the assembly should stand up and work together as one.
I think
if not, 2027 is coming. We may not vote them.
I think if I may have a drop in this.
Go ahead.
First, viewers should not think cheesy to be as ordinary as he's saying. Just to correct that impression. Secondly, Nze welcomed Cheesy when he came in, because Nze was already in the compound when Cheesy was
welcomed him at the gate.
So those 2 points should be
noted. It is noted.
I want to make appeal to the executive governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Amopu Senebo Similai Fubara, that he should, in fact, I am volunteering myself, Cheesy and perhaps few other persons, to work behind the curtains to make sure that this crack that is coming up is not noticed. Because we believe that the fire has quenched. Why is there still smoke? Mr. President had done what he needed to do. Mr. Governor had come to give a speech. The assembly had sat. And there are little things that need to be, because look, until you remove the little foxes that destroys the vine, they are little, but they can cause a great damage. This is Rivers State that belong to all of us. Now, if we must thrive, if Rivers State must succeed, if Rivers State must see prosperity, there must be peace. And now we see that actually the governor is doing his thing, the assembly members are doing their thing, but there is no how the sheep of this state will keep selling, except there is a synergy, complete peace. Not a kind of a relative peace. We want a complete peace, where the assembly speaker can on his own drive to governor's house and meet him, and two of them will talk. Not even going with a driver. He will drive his vehicle, go there. And the governor, at some point, you want to discuss some certain things, either you call the speaker or you drive to his place. Because as a child, when I was growing up, I had a few old men that I took as friends. And they are the ones that mentored me and cultured my life. That's why he could be as good as he is today. I don't behave like my mates. That's why I don't take ogogoro. So you see that sometimes these people, we just walk around as if they are coming to visit my father. They actually came to me. By the time they finish, they say, Mom, when you are through with what you are doing, come. I want to tell you something. And I will go. They will send me on errand. I will go and return. They will bless me, discuss few things with me, and things like that. So I am volunteering to work with the River State government to secure complete peace in this brouhaha that we are just coming out from. Let the assembly, let the local government share, because look at the lacunas that Chizzy pointed here. That a kind of Thanksgiving of such magnitude is coming up. Not just personal, not just personal Thanksgiving, but national celebration. And we didn't see the three arms of government being represented. No, now somebody should have said, my friend, this is what should be done, this is what should be done. And you don't demean the assembly speaker. You don't demean the assembly members. They are representing their people as much as the governor is representing everybody. So if the man in charge of Opobonkoro is called because governor is he's representing the governor in Opobonkoro, what of the man from Obiapo? What of the man from Abua? What of the man from Oboebo Mandoni? Does it mean these people are not represented in Rivers calculation? No. So if the governor can be, if I may say, magnanimous enough to bring us in, there are several things will help him solve before they happen. Governor was returning. The local government, the landlord of airport, was not aware. How can such kind of thing happen? Because you see that it was just governor's friends who volunteered to be there. Who then is managing the governor's protocol? Who is managing his protocol that cannot fix things aright? In case he does not know, or the governor does not know, because we all know that governor is a first-timer in this political thing, there are several things he needs to be taught. Because we fought in his side when the crisis was ongoing, and we wouldn't want the crisis to repeat. So anything we can do, irrespective of the pains and sacrifices it may take, just as the governor has said that there is no price that is too much for peace to reign in River State. So we are ready now to help him provide those little assistance and services so that we will enjoy full-time peace and prosperity in River State.
All right, very well. But then as we round up this conversation, it still boils down to what Femi Falana has said when he's saying that the court has to rule on River State emergency rule. Now, you on the other hand, you're saying that it is very important so that a precedent will be set.
Yeah.
Chizzy is saying that what's the rush? I mean, the definite judgment will be given, but whenever it comes, right? And Chizzy is also saying that that's not the first time that is happening. Though in that instance, only a governor was suspended, not the legislature. But then, when you look at the Constitution, yes, there is provision in 305 for emergency rule, declaration of state of emergency. However, the River State situation was not covered by the Constitution. The Constitution provided for emergency rule, you know, in a situation of war, threats to breakdown of public law and order and safety, right? When the economy of the nation is being compromised or is under threat, which in River State, one would also argue that, because when the president was speaking, the president said that the economic lifeblood of the country was threatened. I mean, with pipeline explosions, and you know that its economy is heavy on oil. Now, but those things are, for me, the manifestation of a much more foundational crisis, which has to do with the fact that the legislature and the executives were two parallel lines that refused to cross. The governor de-recognized the legislature. The legislature insisted, and the governor at some point started functioning with 4-man assembly, and then later reduced to even 3. Well, the court called them forum of friends, so I will use forum. So, meanwhile, the State House of Assembly was being ignored, and even though judgments came, the governor insisted on working with the forum of friends until the Supreme Court. And even when the Supreme Court judgment came, your guess was as good as mine. The ego play that was happening, that even delayed the submission of budget, and then threats of impeachment came. But then, when you look at the Constitution does not cover River State crisis, where the executive and the legislature are actually the arrowheads of the crisis.
Okay.
There is nowhere in the Constitution in 305 where the Constitution stated that if there is political crisis of the nature of River State, this is what
between the
two arms of
the government.
So if there is no government, then what is the reason for lack of government? Is the governor and the legislature. So how do you make peace that has defied political solution, that defied court judgments, legal solution? How do you make that peace that had defied everything? You understand? And for a year plus, the state is still running like a train that is on speed lane without brakes. But then it is what it is. That is why I asked that question. I'm still asking that question again. If there are allegations, the president is coming under fire for overreach of the Constitution, I will ask that question again. What Constitution did he break?
Is this not why we are now waiting? Because there is a limit to my knowledge in terms of Constitution and laws of the land. There is a limit. I'm not a lawyer. But the Supreme Court, which is not just in fact, to me, I would call it a constitutional court, will rule. They will tell us the overreach of the state, His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Or they will also show us where he breached, where he got it right. And by the time they make this statement, in this particular case, it will be added to the Constitution. Because just as you rightly said that River State's case matter was not covered, was not represented, was not cited in the Constitution. Now it has happened. So it is the Constitutional Court that will make a statement that will either legalize or counter the actions of Mr. President. So that's why everybody is still, even all the judges in other lower courts are being careful not to make statements in that regard until Supreme Court comes up with a judgment.
Yeah, let me tell you, that even the Bible, John speaking said, not all that Christ had done is written. But if they were, see, there wouldn't have been a book big enough to contain them. And that's how the Constitution is. You'll be shocked that the book called the Constitution of US is smaller than our own Constitution in volume. You know why? Because, you see, the Constitution has divided and left this thing, separated the powers. we have the legislators who makes the law, is that correct? And then we have the executive who that executes the law, and then we have the judiciary that interprets the law. The reason why all of these things comes is because they are the fact that you made the law, you know that the executive is good at executing law. Like you have just mentioned, those kind of things that should, before a state of emergency is. Now, what people don't understand is that when there is anarchy allows this thing. The reason why you see us walking into these lakes by a exact time is because there's rule made by the leadership of this place. And when you don't have leadership, anybody can walk in here, there will be a crowd in here in this studio doing whatever. And so in the absence of leadership, there's anarchy. All of those things that you mentioned that should be a signal for a state of emergency will occur. So a proactive government, when you know that this thing is threatening, you will know how to solve that problem. And again, all of those things you say, who will tell you that there is economic sabotage? It is the intelligence that goes to the president. It is not us. Who will tell us? Who will tell the president? The president will know when the economy is under threat. It is not what we tell the president. It is because they know what they do. You see, they don't expect them to tell you what it is. They know there's intelligence that runs to the president to tell the president, Mr. President, even the court will find it difficult to define what is an economic threat. Because the president, the MDAs or the agents of the president that gives intelligence to the president will tell the president all of that. But like I will likely say, they have said it over and over, that it is not just to come and address the River State and say, well, welcome, let us embrace peace, I can do everything, I can sacrifice. It is not to say, governor, do this and all of that. John the Baptist says, bring forth the fruit of your repentance. There's something they call the fruit of your repentance. If you say, I've embraced peace, let's see the fruit of the peace. Let us see certain
in actions.
Let us begin to see those things put in actions. You will be shocked that as soon as those things are put in actions, some of us who support the assembly, some of us who do not support the assembly, some of us who support the governor, and those of us who do not support the governor will go back. And the real people will begin to come. That's why they will even be looking for people who can solve these issues.
Right.
I'm thinking that what I would have seen all over time is that there is a meeting. They have announced a meeting
that the government, the governance will be, you know, both the government, the governor and River State House of Assembly will hit the ground running. Having stayed out of the loop of things for 6 months.
So they will come together, meet informally, call them together, we'll drink wine. Boy, how we'll do this thing. Let's see what. Then you begin to see Peace and Reconciliation Committee in all local government going around. Please let me not even give them idea that that's sellable. You know, going around and doing all of this.
Right.
So that's what I wanted to see. So, fruit of repentance, fruit of peace.